Hello, this is the Ankh-Morpork Historians Guild. We are a group that reads through all the Discworld books in order and reviews them. We're doing something a little different. We've started reviewing his essays as well. So we're going to go through Terry Pratchett's essays, and this is the very first one. I am Mulch. I use they them pronouns.
My name is Purtis, and I also use they them pronouns.
My name is Chio. I use she, her pronouns.
Yay!
Yay!
Um, so this is letter to Vector.
Well, we I,
Pronounced it right this time.
we should say we're reading these essays chronologically from his book A
Mhm.
Slip of the Keyboard. He does
Yes.
have many other essays, but we are not reading them. We are
Yes.
only reading the ones from this book.
Yes. Um, chronologically, except we already did why Gandalf never married. Is that
Yes, we
the
did.
name
Did,
of it?
did we ever post that?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, good.
And that was in relation to because we did that first because we just read Equal Rights and wanted to know kind of his thought process behind
We
equal
needed
rights.
justification.
Um, we needed justification for equal rights. Um, yeah, fun.
All right, letter from
Um,
Vector.
Letter from Vector. This is just very short. It's just a few paragraphs.
We're
And it's
we've
from
been
when he was a
using the
kid.
term we've been using the term essay, but that's not entirely accurate. Some of these are speeches, some of these are news articles, and this one, some of them are introductions to books, and this one is letter to Vector magazine, void of any context outside of the fact that Terry Pratchett wrote this when he was a kid.
Yeah,
Um,
Uh-huh.
he was like 16 when he wrote this or something.
Uh-huh.
it
I
is
also
kind of funny because it's it's just like jarring to realize or to see such clear evidence that Terry Pratchett was once a child.
yeah, I actually didn't think real British children talked like that. Like I thought that was like a parody or like a exaggeration. Uh but I guess it's not. I guess they're just like this.
Yeah, yeah. I really like the line. First of all, I think Ron Bennett's pupils are dead lucky in having a master who is interested in science fiction. I can't handle this fucking
Yeah.
country. Y'all can't talk
Yeah,
like that. Are you fucking
that is
crazy?
Another great one is besides, most of the blokes in my form copy the stories out of various magazines.
wow.
Ugh.
Might interest them to crib out of new worlds, etc. or science and fantasy.
God, I hate Britain.
Yeah. So that one's just a little joyful piece he put in here. It's his earliest work in this book. Um, there's no real
Yeah,
substance to
and
it.
it kind of
He
shows
doesn't even
I'm
tell
also
us
not
like.
no.
entirely sure why this is in here or why this is
I mean,
immortalized.
I think it's
it's
just
I
a
just
mean,
a
thing he
little thing.
found, and he was like, "Yeah, put that in there. Yeah, that's
That's
funny.
cute.
Yeah,
And like
well, like
I mean, he's
it has no context. A lot of these words are meaningless to me, or these
uh,
titles. Like, I don't know what my pets is. I don't even know what a day at a
yeah,
railway station is.
I tried to Google them and I couldn't find anything.
I don't know what they are either. I don't really know a lot about Vector magazine.
I
I know
tried
a
to look up
little,
I
but not
tried to
much.
look up Vector magazine sci-fi in schools or SF in schools and couldn't find anything either. I
Oh
tried to
no,
look up all of these things.
oh no! If you are probably going to have to like track down a physical copy of that magazine to read that article.
Well, I'm not going to
You're
that much
probably
trouble.
going to have
I
to
read
like buy it from Britain.
I
I know
read
this
a
sort of
whole
thing.
book for these little essays already. Uh I think I've put in the effort. I think I'm not doing that as well. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I've
um
heard of Victor magazine. It's just a SF magazine. There were a ton
mhm.
of these at the time. Little short story magazines or like interest magazines that would just talk about various
Uh-huh.
things. Yeah, Victor was just another one that faded in and faded out. He was probably just into it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I guess
Well, he did
when I say
fa
that I'm surprised that this was chosen to be anthologized, that's what I mean. There's like no way for a modern reader to really understand it.
But I think what you
yeah,
can understand is that he was interested in writing. He was interested in these stories. Even
yeah, at a
in this,
very
yeah,
young age.
even at this 15-year-old, 16-year-old writing, there's still some of his like mannerism and charm in it, which I thought was really sweet and interesting to see. I can
Mhm.
absolutely
Yeah.
understand why you would immortalize this. I can also definitely understand why you would immortalize this, like looking back on his entire life, because
Uh-huh.
these essays will uh, get very dark. A lot of the final essays in this book, like the latest entries, have like pretty dark fucking names. I'm slipping away a bit at a time, and all I can do is watch it happen. Death knocked,
Yep.
and we let him in. A week in the death of Terry Pratchett. Like, if you're really trying to track what this man was thinking from his birth to his death, this is about the closest you can get.
Yeah.
Feel like if that's
And I
how
love
they
that.
wanted this essay to be read, they failed at that.
Well, they didn't fail it for me because I'm saying it.
I mean, I'm saying as a critic that looking at this book as an anthology, as somebody who reads a lot of anthologies and is really into anthologies, that I think it could have been better presented and contextualized.
I kind of liked it
Like,
without the contextualization.
well, I don't, and I feel like if it was supposed to be read as an evolution of Terry Pratchett's worldview and life, and they should have just. And if that's how the book was intended to be read, then it would have been put in chronological order rather than sorted loosely by theme.
Mhm. I mean, yeah, but we're just I mean, it's not necessarily the intention of the book, but that's how we're doing that because we're interested in the evolution of his writing. And this is just a quick, little view. I mean, it doesn't matter what the book was going for with it, like when it comes to what we're taking from it. This is a quick little view of like
Yeah.
baby Terry Pratchett being interested in sci-fi. Um And, and he said multiple times, like, he would consume anything with a sci-fi label on it, uh, and, like, you know, we're seeing the start of that really, like, really, really briefly. Um,
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean,
and I think
I
if you
feel like
read it in
if I
order, it
were
would be
to
interesting too.
restate my point, it would just be like saying the same thing I just said. So,
Yeah, yeah.
mhm.
Do you want to move on to the next one?
Yeah, yeah.
sure, which one's next?
The King and I, or How the Bottom Has Dropped Out of the Wise Man Business, and this is
Oh, yeah,
on
that one was
page
super weird.
173. I really
Do we
liked
want to,
both this one and Honey, These Bees Had a Heart of Gold. They're
um
they
so
feel
really
really
quick
good.
They're directly tied into each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay, which
Yeah.
one's first?
The King and I
Uh,
is first.
Something that
okay,
strikes me about interesting about these two
173.
is that they are directly tied together to the point where both begin with like the same sentence. Also, one of them makes complete sense to me and one of them makes no sense to me.
Which one of them makes no sense to you?
I do not understand what the king and I is.
That's very funny. Um,
But do you understand it?
yeah, secularism has destroyed us. I mean, he's just talking about giving. He's just talking about giving thanks to the wise men in his life, and talking about like these same gifts that the three wise men brought to Jesus uh, on the day of his birth. So Christmas Day, year zero, the three kings brought gold, frankincense, and myrrh to.
I know that. I know that the three wise men brought
And he's just giving. He's just
brought
talking.
gold,
He's just.
frankincense, and myrrh. What confuses me, I mean, there are a lot of things that confuse me about it, but one big thing I think threw me off the entire time listening to the essay was like didn't get that he was gifting this to the three wise men in his life. They thought the thing is that the three wise men weren't given gold, frankincense, and myrrh. They gave gold, frankincense, and myrrh. So I was trying to figure out who he was buying it for, and also I was trying to figure out whether this was a literal recount of something he did, or whether it was like an allegory or a short story.
Yeah, well, didn't he say that someone he, like, uh, looked up to just died in it? Like an author or something?
Um,
Wait,
no, that was a different one.
Okay, that was a different
that
one?
was the next one, the one that I do understand.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So I guess you were listening to this in audiobook. Does it give the little contextualization in the audiobook?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's just makes it all the more mysterious. I don't understand what it is.
Because he talks about the three real wise men he knew, like who these gifts were for,
Oh,
in the
but
contextualization.
wait, wait.
So Mr.
No,
Allen
no,
the
no, no,
3rd.
no. Uh, he never says that inside of the essay. I'm looking at it.
Not inside the essay, but in the
So
He
Mr.
doesn't
contextualization.
say
Allen
it in the intro. He doesn't say it in the introduction either.
The
the Mr.
contextualization.
Mr. Allen the 3rd wise man, um,
Yeah,
I
Mister
knew 3 real wise men. Mr. Church was a solemn one. Um, but Butsy Burglows,
Bugsy
and
Burroughs.
yes, that is the name, and Mr. Allen.
Then he says, "On my first day, I saw my first dead body, an extremely dead body. I was scribbling away with Mr. Allen, the third wise man, showing me the ropes, and I thought, I've learned more today than I ever did at school."
Yeah.
Um, then I think, I think this is slightly different format. Anyway, at no point does he say that these are gifts for the three wise men in his life. In fact,
Mhm.
he says the very end of the essay, next year, I'll just buy a hamper,
Yeah,
which implies that this is for a child, doesn't it?
no, a hamper is a laundry thing. He says
Oh,
there couldn't be a simpler Christmas shopping list.
So
Christmas, the gift giving holiday.
yes. Um, thing is, aren't hampers in Britain like something you common like baby shower gift?
I don't think so.
no, it's just for putting laundry in. I don't know why it would be a baby shower gift.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Second, let
let me
me.
let me double check that hamper isn't something else. Oh, actually, it's even easier. What the UK refer to as a hamper is actually a gift basket. So it's even simpler. It's a gift basket.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay.
It's like next year I'll
But
just buy a gift basket. Fuck this shit.
the thing is, like, so uh, it's titled "The King and I" and how the bottom has dropped out of the wise man business.
Yeah.
Throughout it, he posits himself as somebody who's trying to take the role of a wise man.
Mhm. So he's saying that you can't be a wise man anymore because you can't get these 3 things.
I think so.
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I can hear you again now.
Okay.
Sorry.
So where are you getting that this is a gift for his mentors?
Because he talks about his mentors in the contextualization, and he says 3 kings and Bristols just find their camels stowed away. But of course, they didn't pass through Bristol. Wise men. I like that's just because of the contextualization how I'd read it that he was searching for gold, frankincense, and myrrh as a gift. Uh, and I had kind of, I guess, maybe unfairly assumed it was for these men, but maybe it was just he was looking for these things as a gift.
Mhm. Um,
Like
Yeah.
I
yeah.
definitely got that gold, frankincense, and myrrh he was trying to give as a gift for Christmas. It didn't really matter who it was for to the essay or to the joke of the essay. Um, it's not really important who he's giving it to. That is what I had assumed.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, I'm assuming, like, it must not matter because, uh, it almost certainly didn't have that context when it ran, when it was actually serialized.
Yeah.
I mean, it's clear that it is a Christmas gift.
Yeah.
But, yeah,
Uh,
I found that totally clear.
Yeah, it doesn't really
yeah,
matter. It's not relevant to the essay at all who he's giving it to, I don't think.
yeah, because he's just saying you can't be a wise man anymore.
Yeah, he's just making a joke kind of about modernity and wise men and the
Yeah.
frustration of gift getting and how it's kind of all silly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But also, it's kind of funny to me because this also would have been a totally, different essay or different project had it been made in, say, like, 2022 instead of 1970.
Because it would have been very easy.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
like,
ha-
Can
extremely easy.
I have gold, frankincense, and myrrh.
Yes. So do I.
wait, really?
Yeah,
Yeah, are you the only
um,
one who doesn't have gold, frankincense, and myrrh? You're not ready for Jesus. You're
I
not
I
ready
have
for
no idea
Jesus.
what I would
Tell your
have
father you're not ready for Jesus.
I would have no idea how to acquire those things.
I mean,
oh,
I bet you could
um,
pop into Amazon.com, get that 2 hour delivery for gold, frankincense, and myrrh.
Okay, but why
easily.
do you guys have it?
Frankincense and
Well,
myrrh smell nice, and gold is a asset.
yeah,
I guess so. Who has gold just lying around?
a lot of
Sorry.
people. I mean, like,
I also
for
like
one
own
thing, like,
gold jewelry.
yeah, like,
I guess that
jewelry.
makes sense. I
Also,
guess
like,
people who wear jewelry probably have some gold.
there's also,
You're
like,
right.
gold shavings or, like, gold foil
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
frequently used in art and sometimes used in cooking.
Mm.
Yeah.
Gold flakes.
Do love them
Uh-huh.
gold flakes. It makes me feel like a little fish.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I have, like, some cosmetics floating around that have gold in them.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
didn't buy them on purpose, they just showed up as, like, samples when I bought
Mhm.
other things, because, frankly, gold is useless inside of cosmetics, just people put it in there anyway.
Yeah, just so it can
Mhm.
stamp on it that it says it has gold on it. That's really it.
Yeah.
Anyways, I thought it was I enjoyed The King and I thought I thought the final line was very funny. I thought it's kind of a very whimsical, silly story that he wrote. I like short stories and I like what they can do in such a short time by disconnecting from context.
Mhm.
You like merely have to accept within the first line that this man is finding gold, frankincense, and myrrh to give as a gift. And like that's it. And that can be whimsical and that can be funny. And that
Mhm.
in just 2 pages time can make so many little jokes about what it is to be in this world.
Mhm.
Now that I'm looking at it, I think actually the context might have made it a lot more confusing for me.
Mhm.
'Cause he just casually drops in there that he saw a dead body. And so that,
Y
like
I
Yeah,
suppose.
and then it's not
that,
related to
like
a dead body at all. Or
it's completely unrelated to the essay, just throwing in there, "By the way, I saw a dead body."
But I
And
think
that's just like and that so that's just, like, coloring the entire essay for me.
that's again just getting into that this book is kind of a redux of his entire life from the earliest to the latest, right? He's talking about like, hey, a lot of people don't think about it, but I was a journalist, and as a journalist, something you do is see a lot of fucking dead bodies. And this,
Mhm.
first day, I met this man, and I learned so much with him by looking at this man's dead body and writing about it, memorializing it in my own way. Um,
Wait, wasn't I'm a little confused. Uh, is the dead body wasn't one of the 3 wise men.
no, it wasn't.
No.
Yeah,
He was a journalist, and
sorry.
I think he went and saw a dead body with Mr. Allen, and
Yeah, that's what it sounds
as
like.
his job as a journalist. Yeah,
Yeah. I don't think it's as related to the essay as some of the others are, like,
I think
it's
a lot
just
of them
a little
are.
thing of his life.
Is
Yeah,
very interesting.
just a little bit of his life. Yeah, and that's do we wanna move on to Honey, These Bees Had a Heart of Gold?
Yes,
Oh yeah, that one's really good.
this one is bomb. I loved this little essay.
Mhm.
And this
Makes
was
me want
written.
to take up goldsmithing or
Yep,
Yeah.
silversmithing.
this was written 6 years after The King and I. Um,
Mhm.
And it begins with a line that is so directly related to the previous essay that, like, for a moment I like had to do a double take because I felt like almost like a continuation.
Mhm.
this
Well, it
is
is they did put it right after that
yeah.
essay
He
too,
he
even in
did
the
put them
book.
together. He's aware, but this is something I really
Yeah.
like seeing from reading Terry Pratchett's books chronologically. I think we're really getting this benefit of you can. He's a man who really percolates on the same idea for years and years and years and years. You know, you get to see
Mhm.
that so many times in his books where he goes back and fixes stuff that he was like, God, I just didn't do that to what I would think now. I've changed so much in these 6 years. Gold
Mhm.
Yeah.
has different meaning to me now, even though it still has so much meaning. Or, you can say the same thing, like
It's also
equal rights
interesting
to
to
Tiffany
see
Aiken.
like how much he was able to get gold in 76 and he couldn't get it back in 1970.
I mean, it's very
Yeah.
possible that he was only joking about not being able to get gold. It really shouldn't be that hard to get gold. I don't know how bad Brittany got, but it shouldn't be that hard to get some gold.
Man, I wonder,
Specifically like 70s Britain.
Yeah.
yeah. So that's yeah, that's just so cool that he did that, that he he made these little, gold bees using real bees, like, just casting them and making the little real bee like,
Yeah.
bugs out of gold.
Yeah.
And
So I
it
should note, we talked a lot about the first sentence. The first sentence was, "It was a brief shopping list I took to London. Gold," which is the line that was a direct continuation of the previous essay, or a
Mhm.
continuation on the same idea.
Yeah.
Any
I think this was a really lovely story. Like it really gets into like what I love about his writing, that like subtle humanity in these silly things. It's fascinating to think about just sitting down and saying like, no, I am going to do this process and I'm going to get good at it. And then to find that other men had done it too, like other people who wrote these books and wrote these stories.
specifically,
And
like this is sort of a very atypical, obituary of sorts,
oh,
specifically to commemorate the life of this, writer, this novelist and artist, uh, who, um, I influenced him, who is the
Yeah,
one
and
who
that's
inspired him to take on this project.
yeah, and that's the author of The Maze Maker, right?
mhm.
Michael
Ayrton,
Ayrton? Michael
Ayrton,
Ayrton?
Ayrton,
I now
Ayrton.
wanna read. I am now very interested in reading The Maze Maker.
Mhm. I don't necessarily trust, Terry Pratchett's book recommendations, but
Ah, you
it's
got
worth the
burned.
try. I did get burned!
um, I'm not interested. 1960s literary work, real hit and miss. Uh, but no, I thought this was really touching. I love that he put the detail of melting it down and melting it down again and again.
Mhm.
Uh, and I was enamored with the last line. Like I've always wondered whether they filled it with honey, and if the honey was unusually sweet, which is such a touching way
Oh,
to end
yeah.
this.
That was a
Especially,
banger ending.
yeah, just
As
Yeah.
talk Michael Ayrton made a golden honeycomb he cast after being challenged to create one. And then he put it, after his death, the new owner set it on the grass by a beehive. The bees went and filled it in. Bees
Yeah.
visited this golden honeycomb.
Mhm. Man. No, I liked that essay a lot. It's very interesting to read and think about. Um,
Yeah. This trio, because the next one is next in the book. It's a very soft and delicate trio. All three of these
mhm,
Yeah.
stories are about just some simple fact or some relatively easy process, um, and just sitting down and thinking about it. It's
mhm.
That
it's
sounds
very kind and
the
compassionate.
third essay, yeah. It was written the same year as the previous essay. That sounds fungi. It must be the dawn of chorus.
Yeah,
Oh
it's written
god,
the
that
same
is a
year.
horrible
It
pun.
sounds fungi. It must be the dawn chorus. Um, sounds well, that's the next essay. Was fungi written before bees?
No,
The
bees was written first. Fungi was
Okay,
written near the end of the year in
yeah,
October.
October. Yeah. Um, yeah. Well, the we're talking about soft. You know, this is very soft and feels mystical in or that sounds fungi is very mystical in a sort of normal, real way, like real experience way. It's about foraging, um, and sort of like a little.
Like, um, please, please finish. Sorry, I
Oh,
interrupted you.
oh no, I was almost done. But uh, I liked it a lot, and that sounds fungi, and it kind of reminded me of his daughter actually talked about at one point that um Terry Pratchett would just like wake her up and take her on adventures, like, and that's that kind of feels like this is that he just went on his own little adventure in you know foraging for mushrooms at 5 in the morning when no one else is really around except for one person he encounters that's doing the same thing, and that's just one of those like ethereal experiences that we all sometimes have in life, and like um that's it's it was very I liked this one a lot. I liked this essay a lot.
Yeah, this was a truly lovely. I mean, and it's the little like slips in it that I think make it really. I don't know. There's a one line here. Mist curls like a cliche over the fields, and there's a half a mile of them to cross. Rabbits scatter. A larger mammal, possibly a hippo, trundles away through a spinney. Like, that is such a lovely thing to just slip in the middle. It's painting this, how much we love to imagine ourselves in these worlds. And it's something he touches on in the next couple of essays that we'll read, especially Roots of Fantasy and Whose Fantasy Are You? This way that we create fiction to memorialize and to order our worlds. An idea that he
Yeah,
touches on an awful lot in his books. Um,
Mhm.
and
yeah,
this essay paints it
yeah.
so well, and it paints his own little desires and his own little fantasies so well.
Mhm.
This is also one of the types of personal fiction that I value highly, which is it's a glimpse into a life that is unfamiliar to me and that I'll never really experience. Um, is yeah, well, I could take up foraging at some time in my life, and probably learn how to do it competently. I'll have that experience of having grown up learning how to forge, or having that as being an experience I shared with a parent.
Mhm.
So it's a sort of glimpse into his life and into, I guess, sort of like the environment he grew up in and his familiarity with it.
Uh, yeah.
There's nothing
It's a
really to
it's
add.
very yeah, no, it's very ethereal, it's very pretty and nice to read, and, I loved this one. And now we have to take a break so Chio can read Alien Christmas real quick.
Is that really the next one
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
chronologically?
yep, that's number 5.
I can't believe you're gonna doubt Mulch's work now.
Okay. I don't know. It's that Alien Christmas is 1987, and that's like a huge gap in time.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's true.
it
We're
is.
10 years.
I think it's because he started writing actual books.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then
probably.
Because he popped off around then, right?
I don't know.
He had his first like successful.
well, when was Color of Magic? It was
Oh, give me a second. I don't know why we can't ever just like list a full bibliography of all his works. And The Color of Magic was 1983, but he had had a slightly successful book before then. Please just give me his fucking books. The Dark Side of the Sun was published in 1976. Would you look at that?
Oh,
And Strata, his next book, 5 years later, was printed in 1981. And then
mhm.
he started,
showing
and
me.
then he started writing Discworld.
Oh, it's showing me headlines about Terry Pratchett because I googled him. And one's called "Terry Pratchett Raised Funny Fantasy to High Art," which is a title he would absolutely despise.
I mean, it's one he
Um,
heard a lot in his fucking life. And honestly,
Hmm.
I think it's fair. I mean, he talks about funny fantasy and how it can unveil. I mean, we'll talk about that when we talk about Roots of Fantasy and Whose
yeah,
Fantasy Are You? Like he says
Yeah,
himself,
but
I
I
write
think
funny fantasy because I can disconnect from these other things and I can make fun of it. And
yeah.
mhm.
but go read Alien Christmas.
I was trying to, but you kept on talking.
I was
Okay,
talking to
okay, we'll be
Mulch. I wasn't talking to you. Deafen
okay.
yourself.
Oh, okay, I've read it.
Look,
Okay.
I should really read Strata.
Which one's
His
Strata?
first book.
Oh, yeah. Oh gosh.
Well, I didn't
I
know
have
this, but
one
it's
question.
it's a semi-parody of Ringworld by Larry Niven, which is like one of the most famous sci-fi novels ever written.
Mhm.
Um, which would be very interesting.
Yeah.
Go
Um,
Figures
go ahead.
actually snort coke in Santa Claus the movie.
I don't even know what Santa Claus the movie is.
I mean,
yeah.
I know what it is, and I've heard people talk about it.
I'm gonna
Uh,
I
I'm gonna I
so
doubt it. I had assumed
they,
that he was being dramatic, uh, and maybe talking about kind of their mannerisms.
uh yeah, okay, but we're talking about Alien Christmas now. For the podcast. Um
shoot, sorry.
uh
Yeah,
It was good. It was very funny.
yeah. This one
uh
is really unrelatable to me, though. It is very funny,
uh-huh.
but I actually did receive a wooden toy truck when I was a kid.
Uh-huh.
I think
I
he's
I did
Um
too.
I think he's just more. I think maybe he's just bombarded by American image.
uh-huh.
Because I actually did
Um
get this,
Yeah,
or he's richer than I was as a kid, like than we were as children.
um
yeah. I mean, toys I received as a kid were generally not electronic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I received very, very few
I don't think
truly
I
electronic toys.
Maybe it's a
received a wooden truck in particular, but I did receive a lot of baby dolls.
yeah, maybe this is uh either a British thing or a Terry Pratchett loves sci-fi so much he just wanted to get his daughter just sci-fi toys, but he doesn't like that they're all trash. Um, um, like, but it might
I
just be a
think there's
British
also
thing.
something worth might be a 1987 thing.
Mhm.
I mean, let me be clear that the implication, which he says many, many times in this, that you can't find candy canes anywhere, is like pure lunacy. Um, and like has clued me into kind of the British nature. um, it is very funny that they just
Wait, he said second, I gotta find the bit where he says about
yeah, always. Sometimes he also has a few red and white striped candy canes. Heaven knows why, you never see them in shops. And if any kid asks for a wooden engine these days, it means he lives at the bottom of a hole on a desert island and has never heard of television.
Oh,
Gosh.
I missed that line about never seeing candy canes in the shops.
It's actually worse.
That has to be a British thing.
He says it again later in here. Let me see if I can
Holy
find it.
shit.
Yeah, no, it's like straight up. We don't have these motherfuckers, but well, we do.
That has to be a British thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Uh,
Here we go.
we
He
have
says it.
so many candy canes.
Those curly red and white sugar walking sticks that you never see in real life, he says later. Which I can't stop seeing them. I found one in my desk yesterday.
yeah.
Like,
Wait,
so
I
I think,
too have candy canes just around.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that maybe this is not by intention, but a little bit an essay about the cultural imperialism of America into Britain post World War II.
Yeah.
Because he's
Uh,
Yeah,
getting
or just
bombarded.
like all over the fucking world.
Well, and he, and he's recognizing it as that Christmas is very alien. That Christmas doesn't match my Christmas, but he's kind of misidentifying. I think to some extent why, because
uh-huh.
he's identifying it.
Yeah.
He's identifying it partially. It feels like he's identifying it as aging, as these new technologies replacing us. Replacing our traditional gifts. Blah blah blah. But it's actually that he's just getting absolutely fucking bombarded with American stuff that just
Yeah.
isn't true in Britain. And I think that I kind of wish he had recognized that and written that essay because that would be very, very
Uh-huh.
interesting.
Yeah.
As it was,
I
this
do
is very funny, but I don't think it's
uh-huh.
that interesting.
I think the most interesting part of this to me is that it's the whole thing is kind of bitter towards like these like things that are marketed to children, these bad narratives, these, robot toys. But then at the very end, he looks at how his daughter is actually using them and how she's like not using them within those molds of that narrative she's being given. She's using them in her own stories, in her own like play and the way she wants to play. And that is what he's saying gives him hope at the very end is that she's not using them like they're marketed to be used. And I loved that part of it. But that's just the very end. That's like one paragraph.
Yeah.
Um,
I thought that was really nice, and it is a great wrap up for
uh,
this story. So, saying
I think that
they have
there's
washed
like
away.
something more it's also something more parents should probably observe. Like rather than doom spiraling about the narratives they see being sold to their children, they should
mhm.
like look and see how their children actually interact with these narratives.
I mean, sometimes
Yeah,
you can do
yeah.
both.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like, I think it is very dangerous that we
Thinking,
are sold constantly, and especially during the 80s, these narratives that war is holy and good and strong and powerful and the most important thing. Like you can say
Yeah,
like it's bad that we're
part of
feeding
it
children so many of these narratives and say
yeah.
and my child is
I mean,
deconstructing
that is
these. I
true.
can I
I'm
can work with
also
this
like,
kid to make sure they understand that the war isn't all, and that like even these
I think
soldiers
like
get peace.
Yeah.
should I suppose I should provide a little bit of context of where I'm coming from, which is when I was a kid, I went to this Waldorf school, which was like really anti-technology and anti-pop culture, kind
Mhm.
of focused on this like fetishization of pre-industrial revolution things.
Mhm.
And so like I was surrounded by this like constant hysteria about like kids watching TV or like even just like interacting with any type of recorded media, any type of like electronic toy.
Yeah.
And it
And your
felt like I
mother
was constantly having to explain my actual experiences of how I interacted with things, felt constantly insisting that I had to be interacting with these things this way.
Yeah. And your mother internalized it too. You were getting that from her too,
I was
because
about to
she
say.
had like yeah, she had a timer on your internet use that would shut down your internet after a certain amount of time. That's not a regular thing. Uh, and like she wouldn't let me send you YouTube videos, um, even
Yeah.
like if it was just like
Another
cats or
big
whatever.
thing.
Yeah, she was really intense
Yeah.
about a lot of
Another
stuff.
big thing is I just like, yeah. And another big thing is I wasn't like, there were a handful of movies that I was allowed to watch and a handful of like, there's like television things that I was allowed to see growing
Yeah,
up.
and
So it
um,
became like this weird power struggle with us, or where I was trying to explain who's this isn't making me less creative or shutting me down. I am using these are not depriving me of an inner life. These are enriching my
uh-huh,
inner life.
yeah. Um, Whereas, like, I think I had a different experience and relationship with that because like, my parents did restrict my TV, like, not my internet, but my TV, because they didn't want me seeing the commercials that were marketed to children on most children's stations. So they had me watch the children's station that didn't have any commercials, and I'm actually really grateful for that. Um, because I think I would have internalized a lot of stuff that I see the people around me have internalized that I just didn't have to like, I never had to put effort into, like, um, breaking those down and relearning, uh, to get away from that, and I'm grateful to that, that I wasn't exposed to some of that. Um
And my experience was relatively similar. We were simply too poor to have
Mhm,
extra TV channels or a computer or consistent internet or anything like that. Um,
mhm,
my house could have been mistaken for a Luddite's house at times. We did get a family computer at one point. It was
mhm.
mostly for my dad.
Yeah,
And eventually I did get a cheapo laptop, uh, which did to to the credit of all writers everywhere, send me into a terrible form of depression and substance that I did destroy my inner life for some time. Um, but it's true. I didn't really see traditional advertisements a lot of the time. We saw almost everything. We watched TV shows, quite a lot of them actually, but almost only
uh-huh,
on DVD without any
yeah,
ads or anything like that. We were the video store's number one customer,
yeah,
and all that,
um,
and it was helpful to me for that, and it was good to me for that.
yeah,
And I think my mom was seriously concerned about just that children's TV was stupid and children's movies was
mhm,
stupid. It wasn't that the messages were bad or good that concerned her. It was just that they were lowbrow. Like they weren't trying very hard. Like fuck,
mhm.
this child can understand stories that are better than that. this is fucking boring to watch. And so my mom just refused to watch children's media. And because we
Yeah.
didn't have any solo way of interacting with media, that
Yeah.
was our
I
life.
really I really think like I watch children's media a lot and I really think it's improved so much because I've tried to watch older children's shows
Oh,
and just like
yeah.
not been able to, but like the complexity of story that has emerged in this last few years less you know is just so much better.
Think
It's
like the
just so
past
much better.
few years. I think the
Yeah.
past 10 years media has
Yeah,
improved drastically.
this last decade, I'd say. Um, and like, and this,
I had a very weird relationship with children's TV is because I wasn't allowed to watch it at home. Whenever I was in a place where I could, I would just binge it. The weird thing was that I didn't even like it. Like, I would
uh-huh,
go to a place, they would have Cartoon Networks, so I'd be like, okay, I am going to watch Cartoon Network for as long as I can because this is a rare luxury. And then I would just go into a coma because it was so incredibly boring to me.
uh-huh, yeah,
Yeah, we would watch some. I mean, there were rare children's television shows that I felt like beat the rest at that earlier time. I specifically remember Ben 10 really
mhm,
relating to me. I would watch it as a child when I went over to my family's house, but I definitely agree that storytelling has gotten a lot better for the average children's television show, though I still think that there are a lot of children's television shows on the air that are just like fucking nothing burgers.
yeah, yeah,
Like
Oh,
SpongeBob,
yeah.
SpongeBob is still running, and it's being written by a machine at this point. I swear to God, because if you look at the new
God,
episodes, they are like nonsensical, not in a good way.
uh-huh, yeah.
Because
No, I
I'm a
I'm gonna be
stoner. I can
real.
go hit up some SpongeBob, but
no, I don't actually watch any
I'm
children's television channels because you get too much garbage. I just watch it online. Like I find the shows that people know are
yeah.
good and watch them online.
yeah, I think the
Um,
average has gone up, but there are some fucking a lot of misses. Uh,
yeah.
Note that
Um,
there's like a serious selection bias at play because I only watch children's shows other adults like.
yeah, yeah,
So definitely like some weeding out going on there. Some
yeah.
yeah, I mean, you're not getting your fucking Ninjagos. You're not getting your fucking wee baby bears or your Cailloux or your fucking other shit like that. Oh, Lucas the
Mhm,
Spider got a TV show. All that shit.
mhm.
Superhero Girls, which I feel that we should watch just because that would be fucking funny.
Uh-huh.
Your Uncle Grandpa's. There are a lot of options. Uh, if you
are adults who love Uncle Grandpa. I don't know whether they're right or wrong for this.
I sometimes think you go on the internet and just make up dudes. Like you're just
Yeah.
you're just making shit up. Don't say that to me.
Um
That's not a real fucker. Like you're fucking lying. You come on here and you make up
um
guys.
No,
yeah.
Curtis, I think you would be happier if I let you believe that.
I would be. I would be. You know why I don't go on Twitter? I fucking hate seeing guys. I can barely go outside because every time I'm introduced to a new type of guy. Um. Anyways, uh, if you use Twitter, fuck you.
Uh,
Specifically targeted at Shio.
Get off
yeah,
Twitter.
I'm just like,
Get off Twitter. Get off Twitter. Stop using it. You will be happier. I swear to God.
I'm addicted to conflict,
Yes, yes. You
and
should.
Twitter is just like machine.
You should recognize your addiction and resist it.
Um okay. Is that all we have to say on Alien Christmas?
Yeah, yeah. No, I think that really sums it up. I think that's a discussion he would have wanted somebody to have about that essay.
Okay. Okay. Well that's the end of this episode. We're gonna record another one right after this, but we're breaking it into chunks because
You don't have to tell them. It's a secret.
I
That's show business, baby.
listen,
Yeah.
I I'm gonna be honest with this one. Uh okay, yeah.
There's no
See you
honesty
later.
in showbiz. Come on.
Peace out. Okay, now end the recording and then restart it again.
Hey, good night, listener. Good night.